And turning now to our other top story of the night, Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced to more than 4 years in prison. Over the summer, the music mogul had been found guilty on prostitution-related charges. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman was in the courtroom today in Manhattan and joins us now. Katrina, thanks for being with us here tonight. Going into today, there was the potential Combs could have even been out within weeks. So how did he react when he heard that sentence?
You know, Nancy, what was notable was how little reaction there was. He looked down at his hands, they were clasped in his lap, and he just looked defeated. The same with his family. It was very quiet in that courtroom, very solemn, and it was a drastic difference from earlier because this day stretched on for a really long time.
It's been almost 2 years since the dramatic raids on Diddy's mansions and the Hollywood scandal that followed. Now the verdict is in. Sean Diddy Combs has been sentenced to 4 years in prison. The news has sent shockwaves across the industry as fans and critics react to what many call the biggest celebrity downfall of the decade. But Diddy's team isn't giving up just yet. His lawyers have already announced plans to appeal the sentence. And rumors are flying that Diddy might even turn to former President Donald Trump for a presidential pardon.
He said that his actions were disgusting, they were shameful, and they were sick. He said that he's not a larger-than-life person. He is a human being, and that he got lost in the excess, in the ego. His voice was shaking. He was crying today. I saw him wiping tears from his face in court. And he ultimately said that he is humbled and he's broken.
In July, Sean Diddy Combs finally faced his verdict. The court found him guilty on 2 counts of transportation to engage in illegal acts, but he dodged the bigger charges: racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. His lawyers were confident this meant Diddy would get off easy, maybe just a short sentence or even a quick release. Sources even say Diddy had booked speaking gigs for the very next week, thinking he'd be a free man by then. But things didn't go the way he planned, and that confidence has now turned into chaos.
Many people spoke in court, his attorneys, and most notably his children. That was extremely emotional. They were crying, they were talking about how much they respect their father and how hard it has been for them to not have him around, especially his children who lost their mother, Kim Porter. His lawyer, Nicole Westmoreland, also broke down crying when she talked about Sean Combs. She said that he had changed her life. And then Sean Combs himself got up and spoke in court. And he said that what's been really hard for him during this trial is having to be silent, not being able to speak on his own behalf.
Right before his sentencing, Sean Diddy Combs tried pulling on the court's heartstrings. He called his whole family to speak for him and even filmed a touching video of himself playing with his kids. Diddy believed showing this softer, family side would convince the judge to go easy on him. During the hearing, his children and his mother pleaded for his freedom, asking the court to give him another chance. But the emotional moment didn't seem to help. TMZ later got their hands on that same video, the one Diddy played hoping to win the judge's sympathy.
Tonight, prosecutors asking a judge to sentence Sean Diddy Combs to more than 11 years in federal prison, arguing he engaged in violence and put others in fear. A stark contrast to Combs' legal team, who are seeking 14 months, which would see him walk free in a matter of weeks, as he's already served 13 months in prison.
Look for the judge to land somewhere in the middle, split the difference, a sentence of maybe 4 to 6 years.
Sean Diddy Combs made one last emotional push to win his freedom. Standing in court, he begged the judge to let him go, saying his time in jail had changed him and that he truly regretted everything he'd done. For the first time since the trial began, Diddy spoke directly, joining 15 inmates, his family, and even one of his victims who also took the stand. He later sent a heartfelt letter to the judge asking for mercy and a second chance. But no one knew if his words would be enough to save him from what was coming next.
He said, "I hate myself right now," before the judge and before this sentence came down.
So, Katrina, prosecutors, though, they had wanted this sentence to be 11 years. What did the judge say when they actually handed this down?
So ultimately, the judge decided to give him this sentence of 50 months incarceration, 5 years of supervised release. And this is actually lower, it's significantly lower than what the prosecution wanted. That was about 11 years, and then the probationary recommendation was 7 years.
During sentencing, Sean Diddy Combs tried to make things right, or at least appear to. He apologized to Cassie and all the other victims, claiming he was ashamed and promised to change. But no one bought it. The judge didn't, and neither did the victims. Cassie even sent a letter to the court saying she feared for her safety if Diddy was ever released. That alone spoke louder than any apology could. And judging by Diddy's calm, almost defiant reaction in court, the judge clearly saw through him. Reports even revealed Diddy was taking part in his wild freak-offs the very same day he got arrested.
The eve of his sentencing, Sean Diddy Combs, the fallen music mogul, writing a federal judge pleading for mercy. He writes in part, "I have to admit, my downfall was rooted in my selfishness." He apologized to 2 of the women who accused him of abuse, including Cassie Ventura, who he assaulted. This as prosecutors are asking for an 11-year prison sentence for Combs after he was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution.
Chaotic scenes as Diddy's family came to court to support him at his sentencing.
How you feeling today, Mama?
His mother, Janice, was followed by his son, Quincy, and 3 daughters who entered court hand in hand. Another son and his girlfriend were also there to show their support.
Even 50 Cent decided to step in and make his voice heard. He wrote a letter straight to the judge, claiming that Sean Diddy Combs had threatened him in the past. 50 made it clear he doesn't believe Diddy has changed one bit. Coming from someone who's had years of tension with Diddy, that statement hit hard. His message painted a picture of a man who's still dangerous, still manipulative, and far from remorseful. And now, that letter has become one more reason the court isn't buying Diddy's redemption story.
The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. We think that that is unconstitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
Absolutely. If the prosecution files a cross appeal, what would happen in that regard if they filed a cross appeal and then Sean Diddy Combs get a higher sentence?
He would not get a higher sentence, and they're not gonna cross appeal. We're gonna appeal. We think we're right, and they'll respond to the appeal, and it'll be decided by the Second Circuit as soon as.
Tell us about the conversation you had with your client after the sentencing.
Consensual. The judge clearly thought the sexual encounters weren't consensual.
Because he's biased.
What did you make of his remarks?
He's biased.
If anyone, I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking. There was no racketeering. Everything was consensual. Everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's verdict.
Right after hearing his sentence, Sean Diddy Combs dropped to his knees in tears. The once powerful music mogul clearly wasn't ready for this reality. Insiders say Diddy's terrified of what's waiting for him inside prison, and it's sinking in that his fame can't protect him anymore. What's more, rumors are swirling that Diddy might turn on his own circle. If he decides to cooperate with the feds and give up the people who worked with him, his time behind bars could be cut short. But in the world Diddy comes from, snitching comes with its own kind of danger.
That he lost everything from his businesses to time with his children. He's a single father. He also apologizes notably to the women who prosecutors say he abused. He says that video, that infamous video of him abusing Cassie, plays over in his head daily. I literally lost my mind. He says he's a changed man. He says he's sober for the first time in 25 years. He will have an opportunity to address the court there tomorrow. Remember, of course, his lawyers are asking for just 14 months. Prosecutors asking for far greater, 11 years behind bars. He was acquitted of the charges, though, of course, that could have kept him behind bars for the rest of his life.
Diddy's legal team didn't see this coming. They showed up expecting parole, maybe a quick release, but instead, Sean Diddy Combs got hit with a sentence that left everyone in shock. His lawyers looked stunned as the reality sank in. After the hearing, Diddy's attorney, Mark Agnifilo, spoke to the media, insisting the fight wasn't over. He claimed they'd do everything possible to get the entire case thrown out on appeal. But for now, it's clear the courtroom didn't go Diddy's way, and his comeback plan just took a massive hit. What's wild is that Diddy's own emotional video might have backfired completely. After it played in court, Sean Diddy Combs opened up, saying he'd been using drugs for years and that this was his first time being sober in 25 years. That one statement shocked everyone. It basically revealed that even while filming the emotional clip meant to help his case, Diddy wasn't clean. The video that was supposed to show growth and remorse ended up doing the opposite, leaving the judge and the public questioning if anything about it was real at all.
Prosecutors are asking for a substantial sentence of just over 11 years, writing it's needed because Combs is unrepentant, that he largely conceded his conduct, the violence, domestic abuse, drug use, and distribution, and bribery. Former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, who testified at trial, submitted a victim impact letter that reads in part, quote, "My worries that Sean Combs or his associates will come after me and my family is my reality." She says they moved, and she is, quote, "keeping as private and quiet as I possibly can because I am so scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse."
One of the jurors from Sean Diddy Combs' trial has spoken out, and what they revealed is shocking. After watching every piece of evidence and all the tapes shown in court, the juror admitted they expected Diddy to get a much harsher sentence. According to them, what they saw proved that Diddy's abuse had lasted for decades, over 30 years of wild freak-offs and manipulation. The jurors were convinced that the 4-year sentence barely scratched the surface of what he deserved. In their eyes, justice didn't go nearly far enough. Even the jury couldn't believe it when they found out Sean Diddy Combs had already planned to walk free the following week. That's how sure he was about beating the case. Sources say Diddy acted like the whole thing was just a misunderstanding, telling people he hadn't done anything wrong and didn't deserve to be there at all. But the courtroom saw a different story unfold. His confidence looked more like denial, and his belief that he'd simply walk out left everyone shocked. For the first time, Diddy's world of control and power was slipping right through his hands.
He's disappointed, although he really shouldn't be. I think, a 4-year sentence here with already credit for the year or so that he has in, I think he did very well with respect to all of the drama and all of the circumstance around this trial. There was a lot of bad stuff out there, and I'm not saying, I'm not passing judgment on that, but it just looked really bad, and he could have gotten up to 10 years or 11 years. So I think the judge, took everything into consideration. I think his family today made a very good plea for him, and I think he did very well. That's my opinion.
So in your experience, like your own experience and other, inmates that you've seen go through it and then show back up at the cell block, how do they take this? Do they bury their head in the pillow and cry, or do they keep their head held high and just pack up their stuff and wait for their assigned new prison? Like, tell me everything.
Well, everybody's different. I'm sure he went back was somewhat disappointed, so he's probably, dwelling on that. Hey, it could have been differently. Maybe I should have gotten out. Maybe he's a little bit upset, a little bit angry. I get it. All those emotions come into play. But right now, he's got to get ready. He'll spend a couple of weeks there until they designate him to a new facility. And he'll be a lot better off in prison than he is in the federal jail. At least there you can move around and you got some freedom on the yard and things like that. My thought is he'll collect himself, get himself together. There are ways for him to improve himself. They have the Bureau of Prisons now has a drug program.
A former mobster has spoken out, warning that Sean Diddy Combs might be in real danger now that he's heading to a federal prison. Inmates there, he says, will do anything for money. And with Diddy's wealth, he's walking in with a target on his back. Everyone inside knows his name, and not for good reasons. What's worse, he's not being sent to a maximum security facility, which means no constant watch or special protection. Without 24/7 surveillance, anything could happen. For once, Diddy's fame and fortune could end up putting him in serious risk instead of keeping him safe. Sean Diddy Combs' legal team isn't backing down. They claim Diddy doesn't deserve this sentence and should be released on parole. His lawyers are now pushing for the entire case to be thrown out, arguing that since he beat the most serious charges, the rest shouldn't even count. It's a bold move that stirred up even more controversy, especially among those who think Diddy's getting special treatment. But his team insists they believe justice hasn't been served, and they're ready to fight until he's free. Sean Diddy Combs' final words to the judge have now been released, and they're shocking. Diddy openly confessed, saying he's done with his past and swore never to repeat the same mistakes. But the judge didn't buy it, and now we know why. Reports say that while Diddy was in prison, he was secretly trying to reach witnesses, pushing them to stay quiet. That move destroyed any bit of sympathy he had left in court. Because really, if you're innocent, why would you need to silence anyone? That one detail changed everything for the judge and sealed Diddy's fate. After the verdict came out, Sean Diddy Combs told everyone he was heading home. It shocked people, especially since he'd been facing 20 years behind bars, but got off with just 4. Now, rumors are flying fast, because if Diddy decides to cooperate, he could reveal secrets about some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Many believe this isn't the end of the story, but the start of something much bigger. Some even say Diddy's just the first domino, and more major figures could be headed to prison soon. The feds aren't done yet, and insiders say this might just be the beginning of a much bigger storm. If Sean Diddy Combs starts naming names, Hollywood's darkest secrets could finally spill out for everyone to see. But here's the real question. Will Diddy stay quiet, or is he ready to take a few big stars down with him? Don't forget to subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, and hit that notification bell. Because this story, it's only getting started.